Greetings! You are watching Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen, and this is Kotobuki Jake.
Hello.
And we are here to show you our riches, our spoils, our media gold.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I am just getting back from a 7-day cruise. For those of you watching the channel, you may not have noticed this because I actually had videos prepared almost every day through Halloween so that you could actually watch while I was out cruising. I may even include a little cruise video. It's just I have such a backlog of reviews that I had. Plus, I had wanted to make my, let's see here, Horrorween, as I called it, spectacular start working. I'm going to actually try harder for next year, so if this channel is still around next year, you can look forward to a little bit higher production value.
Say when.
Yeah, well, yeah, if, when, whatever. You know, you can look forward to some higher production value, hopefully. But, of course, another one has come and gone. But we did get to watch a couple of the classics. We were out, so we didn't get to do a lot of it. Every time that we were getting ready to try and watch one, because they were showing like big movies, they were going to show Beetlejuice, they were going to show The Great Pumpkin, a lot of that stuff on the big screen. But then they decided, well, you know, the World Series is, you know, here. Let's just show that instead. So it was all World Series all the time. So we didn't get to see a lot of that.
Let's see. Baseball, Charlie Brown getting a rock. Charlie Brown should have won that.
So, with that being said, you know, I haven't gotten a lot of viewing done this time around. I mean, I got to see Halloween, of course, and I got to see, and we watched Trick or Treat last night, which was nice to, you know, watch. I didn't do a lot of viewing, oddly enough, over the last week. The upcoming Movies Galore episode tomorrow night, is going to cover one of the David Lynch did Eraserhead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the David Lynch film Eraserhead. So for those of you who follow Movies Galore on their channel, I may or may not link it below. It depends on if my mind is clear enough to do it. But go to that channel. You'll be able to see it. Also, you can follow them on Facebook. Wonderful channel. I am usually a part of that discussion. My wife is sometimes a part of that discussion. It's worthwhile to watch. Let's see. Other news. Criterion has got their little sale on Barnes & Noble.
Little sale. Their evil sale.
I've debated, actually. I want to get Sid and Nancy for my father. He loves that movie a lot.
They had it at the local Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, and I also usually like to justify my card over there, and that's usually how. I also want to get the Twin Peaks movie because that will finish my Twin Peaks collection.
Funny thing is, I got Firewalk with Me from the $4 bin at Walmart, but it's definitely not as fancy an edition.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I actually had quite a bit of viewing in since the last time we met. Since obviously we did not do a pickup video because it was not entirely convenient for me to meet up with him when he was in the Caribbean. So, you know, that was kind of... it would have been difficult. But for my Halloween viewing, I saw some of the classics, you know, the Frogs, I think we mentioned before, but also The Exorcist and Pinocchio and the... couple of shows too. Finally watched the mini series of The Stand. Finally can knock that one out, and I have to say it's a serviceable edition of the story, but I'm still waiting for a great one.
The ending was kind of rushed, but I really liked the portrayal of Randall Flagg in that one. I thought he was entertaining.
It was not what I visualized, but it was an interesting. He kind of had that weird little crooked smile. It kind of worked for Flagg. Jamie Sheridan, of course, and of course Gary Sinise was great as the lead. Molly Ringwald sucked as Fran Goldsmith. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, she just was awful.
I didn't like how they handled
And
gosh.
the production values were awful.
It's a TV movie.
Well, yeah, but this is like they need to revisit. We've said before they need to revisit a lot of these.
Well,
King
I mean, they
ones,
did it, so maybe they'll do The Stand.
Maybe.
The Stand was
But
one of
don't
King's
just do it as
opuses.
one movie. They should do at least a two-parter or a mini-series on TV. But, like, higher production values. Like a show like Netflix or HBO or something like that, putting their full movie-level budget behind it. It could be awesome. But, and then 2 TV series. I did finish off When They Cry, which is still my second run through. The first 2 series are awesome. Ray is difficult. It's worth a watch, if only because it fills in some of the holes and answers some of the questions. But they completely break canon with the 2 filler episodes, and it's kind of like the middle arc is the important part. The first and last are total filler. They're fun, but they break canon into pieces. The other show that I saw, really awesome start, and that's all you get. Yeah, you've mentioned on some of your reviews how some shows really need more than 12 episodes. I watched the show Maoyu, which is, I figured, Halloween theme because it's about demons and sorcery and all this stuff. It's really not a Halloween series. It's from the writer-director behind Spice and Wolf, and if you've ever seen that is a great show. But it's a medieval setting. It's a very mellow, kind of slow-paced series, but it's not a series for action junkies. It's a series for people that actually want to think. Maoyu's in the same vein. It even has the same voice actors as the main characters, Mao, the Demon King, and Yusha, Hero, who are played by Amiko Shimizu and Jun Fukuyama, who are both great voice actors. And it's a great setup. You got this world where humans and demons have been in war for 15 years. And Hero is part of an adventuring party. It actually has that kind of D&D feel to it. It's a great D&D series, I think. And Hero speeds ahead of the party and storms the castle. And he's ready to do battle with the Demon King and end the war once and for all. And he meets her. The Demon King turns out to be this gorgeous woman who just wants to talk. And she has a plan for ending the war that does not involve any more bloodshed, if possible. That basically she sagely points out that if you end the war immediately, the humans will start fighting themselves and the demons will start fighting themselves, and war will just continue in a different form. And it's just a great series for, I actually liked it as an anti-war series. It's a really, really good show, but it's not finished. They introduced so many plot lines in the last 3 episodes, and then that's it. Show's over. And 4 years later, there's no word of a sequel. So it's like, check it out. Sentai has it. It's pretty easy to get hold of, but be ready to be disappointed by no resolution.
Actually, Rage Select is doing has done their Halloween thing, where they play. And Rage Select, for those of you who don't know, they are a YouTube channel, and they have their own website and Patreon and all that fun stuff because they're slightly successful. We don't know anything about that, but. They are doing they did their Asylum last week, which was really good. They covered games such as Silent Hill 4, Overwatch, Overwatch is like, not horror, Over something. It was the Whistleblower expansion. It was one of the big horror films. Movies. Sweet Home, which is actually a Japanese old Nintendo game that actually inspired Resident Evil, which is really cool. And as somebody, and they were talking about how movies sometimes go along with games. And Sweet Home was actually a movie, and then they had the game as a companion piece.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like that, and it reminded me of Parasite Eve, which, two great games, classic games. Mm-hmm. You can get them if you have a Vita, or if you can access some of those old games. That also was the follow-up to a movie, and I've got that movie, and that's a really good one. Sweet Home, unfortunately, is near impossible to find. I've been playing, actually, South Park Stick of Truth lately, because I'm preparing for South Park Fractured But Whole. I've been watching South Park. I have caught up. I've been watching Will and Grace. Very good series. That's just the oven preheating. Yep. And
the rebooted one?
Yeah. It's actually pretty good. The first episode, if you're a Trump supporter, you're not going to like this series anyway. But if you're okay with a lot of the social aspects that most would not be, you can still watch this show. Just ignore the first episode because it's very anti-Trump. It even made me go, this isn't funny anymore. But thankfully, if you're a fan of the show, the other episodes, 2 and up, have actually gone pretty well and actually reflect the series pretty darn well.
Cool.
I've been enjoying it thus far. But I've been playing Stick of Truth. If you have not tried out Stick of Truth, you can get it bundled in with Fractured But Whole for the South Park. It is like playing a South Park episode. It's got all the wonderful things there. I'm just kind of setting myself up so that I can then start Stick of Truth. I'm pretty sure that I'm made Stick of Truth. Fractured But Whole. I can't wait for that. So, since since I'm going to lead off in the previews for the next week's movies, I will let you start off with the, because I led off with Pokemon. Okay. So you can lead off with positions.
All right. Well, my other big news this week was our library did a big festival over the weekend. It's the third year doing it, and it's really cool. And it's a festival that celebrates local writers and local authors. And we don't really do... we've basically done audiovisual media so far on this channel, but I'm going to do a book. Yeah, I know.
I've got to go. I can't.
But we are very much promoting
physical media.
Physical media. But also we promote it a lot with people who are getting started, indie artists and people like that. And so definitely local artists and local authors falls neatly in that group. And in the last 3 years, each time I read a little something to prepare for this show. I mean, not the show, the festival. And last year's selection, I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want to offend anyone, but the one I read did not impress me. But in the first year, I did an anthology called Virginia is for Mysteries. That and the sequel anthology are both pretty interesting, but they're more interesting because it's fun to see things set in places you know. But this one is by a local author, but it's set on the Isle of Man, so it's definitely not local. But I chose to read a YA novel that called Fear the Drowning Deep. And I just thought that seemed like a good one to try. And I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It's by an up-and-coming writer named Sarah Glenn Marsh. This is her first novel. She has one coming out in January. And so it's this right here. Like I said, it's called Fear the Drowning Deep. It's set in, like I said, Isle of Man. And it follows a 16-year-old girl named Bridie who, when she was 9, she watched her grandfather walk off a cliff. And she saw an apparition and told the entire town, and they all think she's nuts. And here, several years later, a young girl washes up dead on the shore, drowned. And not long after, a young man washes up, deeply wounded. And Bridie finds him and takes him home to her family, and they patch him up. And about this time, people start going missing. And I think by the end of the book, it's about 7 people from the town go missing. And, of course, it's an insular community where no one wants to admit things they can't understand.
Well, like any
they
of the
start
other.
they start suspecting the newcomer, you know. It's a real good one, but what really interested me, other than the fact that it's an easy read, is that it really gets into the local mythology. They talk about creatures that I'm barely familiar with, and since I'm looking to be a fantasy writer, any resource like that, in our review video, we talk about Rosario and Vampire. That was one of my big introductions to a couple of types of characters there, and it was one of my inspirations for using Yuki-onna. But this and the movie Song of the Sea are really the ones that introduced me to the concept of Selkies. Glashtons or something I'd never heard of before this, or Fesegrim, you know. So it's very interesting and well done book. And of course, I had to get a copy of one of the books so that I could get it signed. So that's always a nice bonus too, you know. So very cool get here. I'm going to probably do books every once in a blue moon, but this one definitely had to come up because that was just like just fun all around. Yeah.
Well, I too have a non-book.
Oh.
Wait, that's not right. Okay, I too have a non-movie, but it is also a non-book.
All right.
So, with music, it's very interesting how I do things. I don't buy music very often these days. It really does take, because I like to listen to a lot more talk. I used to listen to tons of music. You can see in the background I have a fairly large CD collection. But, you know, these days I just don't have time for it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, this was something that was sent to me because I was curious about it. And I know the people who do this, so I wanted to just check it out. And that was the River City Rebels. And this actually, this one is Keepsake of Luck. This album, which of course is backwards in here because of the vision. And I dropped it. Because that's just how I am. I dropped it.
That was just your luck.
That was just my luck. So, you know, I mean, you got the nice artwork here. It's one of those, it's sort of like paper cases with the sleeve here. But it was one that I actually wanted to check with before I actually talked about it because I wasn't that familiar with the sound. I mean, I like what they play on the Rebel Gaming Club. I actually like that stuff. I can't wait for them to come up with a music CD or something of their own because I would love to talk about that here. But this group has a pretty good sound. I've heard a couple other things. I've been curious. I've looked it up. And they have a pretty neat sound. It's sort of... it's very different. It's sort of like... It's not quite punk. It's not quite rock. It's not quite blues. It's sort of like a mixture of the three. It's one that I would definitely recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the sound is such a unique one. I really did enjoy it. I'm trying to look over here. I know there was one that I really liked.
Mm-hmm. Is it a full-length album? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is a full-length album.
Wow.
I also have a record for them. I just don't have a record player. I liked All the Flowers, and I liked the Farmhouse Blues a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one, I want to say Hopeful Romantic was the other one that I really liked on here. But, you know, if you get a chance, check it out. They've got, like, most of their catalog is available on Amazon, or check them out. I'm sure they could point you in a way to give them more money. I would prefer more money going to the artist as opposed to going to the corporate overmaster. But, you know, if they get something, they get something. But anyway, you know, check it out. That's my piece, my one non-movie for this time.
And non-book.
And definitely not a book.
All right, so we have made reference to the evil thing that is the Criterion sale of Barnes & Noble.
Oh.
I did not intend to do this. It just kind of happened.
You never intend to.
I know.
It just came like that.
Yes. Well, you know how in the, it was a while back now, near the beginning of these videos, I think, I mentioned how in the July sale, I doubled my Blu-ray Criterion collection from 2 to 4. Well, I did it again. Only this time from 4 to 8. But the first one is one that I actually had resolved to get this time long ago.
I wonder if that's what
I almost got it on.
Oh yeah, it is.
I almost got it before, but they only had the DVD. And again, I'm trying to be space conscious, and I trust Criterion to really clean up their stuff. So I'm willing to pay $5 more for Blu-ray,
that's shorter,
for something that's shorter. But anyway, I mentioned in the previous one that I finally started my Charlie Chaplin collection with City Lights. But now I have his, what I think is his all-time greatest film, The Great Dictator.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
That is a good movie. Not a movie for everybody. It was very controversial at the time of its release because he was not being shy about who he was mocking with this one. It came out in 1940.
Yeah, we weren't quite ready to call Hitler the enemy at the time, and there were many people in our government at the time who were kind of like, "Don't make fun of him.
Yeah,
he may be a good guy. We want to be allies with him."
And so Chaplin was theoretically a little bit ahead of his time with that. And this may be a particularly timely movie to watch now, but this is a really good, I've only seen it once, but I loved it. I loved it. And I've been wanting to get it for the longest time, but for a long time I was holding off because there was like a Chaplin collection. But then when they started doing the Criterion releases, I started going, I need to do that. I just took too long to do it. But anyway, now I have 2 Chaplin films.
2?
And 2, yes. And I will probably get another one the next time the sale comes around. Yes.
So, mine is actually going to be from the old Sentai sale. If you actually were paying attention, they did a Halloween sale, which was very good.
Yeah, it was also evil.
It was a little bit better than their normal.
Mm-hmm.
And for, I think, $11, I believe.
I think that was $13, but still cheaper than usual.
$12.99.
Yeah.
11 Eyes, which is a horror series, so it goes along with the season. About this person who gets sent to another dimension, with lots of demons and things like that. I have not seen much of this series other than I have heard of it through reputation. But I've heard up through reputation of it's an okay series. But I don't know why, but I keep looking at this and I confuse it with 3 times 3 eyes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I guess because it has eyes and a number on it. Which I also need to get, by the way. Which that one is a classic, so that one needs to be gotten. This one does look like one I need to check out. It's actually, I found out, one of the few numbered series I have. Actually, one of the only ones. Since my first anime has a little number in the front.
Number.
It has 11.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you count 2 times 2 equals Shinobu.
What about 5 centimeters per second?
Well, you see, that one is different in a way because, or maybe not. I don't know whether it has a 5 or
no,
whether it
it's
has
an
a
actual
5.
number.
Let's see. Do I have it up there?
It's right over there.
Okay, so it does. Okay, so never mind. Well, this one's 11. So, it's 2 then.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about this. I really want to see it. I mean, it's like, 12 episodes and an OVA?
I think so.
So,
and
worth seeing there.
That one's notable as one of those, how there'll be things where it's like you see them offered again and again. And you keep saying, I'll get you next time.
One of these days.
I'll get you next. I did that for you. Ever since we started watching that Right Stuff sale. And I, too, have finally ordered that. But we haven't gotten to it yet. We'll get to my Sentai stuff probably not this coming week, but next week. But we'll see. But anyway, back to the Criterion sale.
Oh, back to the quality stuff. You and your quality stuff.
Exactly. Actually, I got two 1940 movies from Criterion. But this one we very recently covered in our preview videos, and I think I commented that I would be getting it when the sale came out, and sure enough I did. It's Alfred Hitchcock's Oscar-winning, I believe, adaptation of Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca.
Oh.
Which is a very, very highly rated film.
Good film.
Very good film. Actually influential on a short story I wrote that maybe one day something will happen with it. But it's one of the very few Hitchcock films to have much of an Oscar history, which is really strange. And it's also, I think, the first notable one in America, because he did a lot of stuff in Britain, but didn't really break through in America until Rebecca.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty big movie overall, and again, this is like a big 1940s purchase for me here.
I have a lesser version of the same movie, but also on Blu-ray.
Ah, very good.
Costco version, yeah.
Yeah.
So this next one, I've got a little prop for this one and the next. Is I've been wanting to upgrade these for a while, and there were two series that I've been looking to upgrade, and Amazon finally did a brief sale on these to make them affordable. It's not going to save me a lot of space, probably more impulse than anything else, but I finally did upgrade A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this is that remake. You can even see my old $9.99 used from Movie Stop on it. And this is the one I upgraded to. Not a big deal. There's like maybe one or two extra special features, but nothing big. Matter of fact, I think it's actually the same, but the visual quality is enhanced a little bit more. This was an okay remake. I didn't care as much for their take on the Freddy's makeup as there was, and this one tried to reclaim more of the horror than the comedic aspect as Freddy had gotten to over the years. That can be yours if you want it. But still not bad for a remake. I did like that they had the guts to actually say, no, Freddy wasn't killing kids, he was raping kids when he was alive. And that's why they burned him. So that, I gotta give him that. That was gutsy for that. But as a movie, mediocre. But I'm glad to have it on Blu-ray.
Interesting.
Yep.
So my guy, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so in here I thought I was going to be the one kissing up to the Rebel Gaming Club this week, because, you know, if you watched, they've got a fun little segment now called Rate My Junk that we guested on a couple weeks back. If you haven't seen it, you ought to see it. It's pretty cool. And just in general, it's a fun little segment. Mm-hmm. But for the one we did, he got a whole lot of videos.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, there was a video that he was very complimentary toward. He said it was really good. It was worth checking out. Neither of us was familiar with it. And we weren't even sure it was in print. Well, it's in print. So, I have the Criterion Collection. So, Dan, if you're watching, here you had an influence on us. Okay. I have the Criterion Collection release of Down by Law, Jim Jarmusch film.
Now you need to do the review for it.
There you go. Once I see it, it's got Tom Waits and Roberto Benigni and John Lurie, who are all in prison in Louisiana. Yeah, Louisiana. And they all try to escape, and things happen. And
unfortunate things.
Apparently. But this is notable as one of the very, very, very few American productions with Roberto Benigni. He has not done many. And so that's going to be very interesting to see. It's actually a pretty there's a lot of goodies on this, so that's always nice. You know, we've talked before. What?
Goodies.
Exactly. This is much more recent than the previous films, 1986. But that's a year where I've only seen a modest number of films, so it's good to get another one knocked out. And
I was 7 at that time, so
yeah, right.
I wasn't doing a lot of film connoisseur work at that time.
But anyway, so like I said, I wasn't even looking for this. I just looked down and I said, "Oh, it is in print. I'll have to get it." So there you go.
All right. Well, so again, there was definitely a small Halloween sale, and they finally marked this down to under 20. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to upgrade, because I had this, which was all of the Freddy movies. So, except for, you know, that one I have out there. Well, this is all of those movies except for Freddy vs. Jason. Except now they're on Blu-ray, and all of them have special features. Nightmare on Elm Street is actually one of the primarily, well, Criterion in way. It's not Criterion, but it is a Criterion.
They should do one eventually.
The original is really horror Criterion. It's Horror 101. Freddy is one of the cinematic great evil monsters. This has all of the basic films. You got the original, you got the second one, you got the third, fourth, and fifth one, you got Freddy's Dead, and then you got Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And I actually like New Nightmare because it was a very entertaining look. It has a couple episodes from the Nightmare on Elm Street TV series, which, unlike the Friday the 13th TV series, this actually had Robert Englund in it. Unlike the one here, Robert Englund plays Freddy Krueger, and he does an excellent job with the character. Though it gets more comedic as time goes on, striking New Nightmare, which kind of takes it almost like Scream does to the series. But this really is a defining series. And if you're a Johnny Depp collector, he is in 2 of these. He is in the original, and then he comes back in Freddy's Dead for a brief appearance, sort of like as an homage, because this was one of his original films. So, really is important. Glad to have it. In a way, I'm thinning out a little bit, but really I'm not, because I had to get also.
Definitely a cooler looking set.
It is a cool set. But I had to get I also had to get Freddy vs. Jason again. So you know, it's. But still, great series. Can't recommend it more. Great fun watching. The first one, if anything, one of the better horror movies as far as the classics are concerned.
All right, my go.
Yep.
All right, my last go is my last one for the Criterion sale. Probably the last one for this sale, because I don't think I'll be able to do another go at it. Is a much more recent film. This one's actually 2014. I think it came out stateside last year or the year before, like 2015, 2016, I don't remember. It actually, I think it bowed in France and then came to stateside a little bit later. We, just a week or two ago, did a preview for a Criterion release of, a couple of weeks, whatever, for a Criterion release of an Olivier Assayas film starring Kristen Stewart. I got the other one. This is a film that is actually really good. I really enjoyed it. It's called Clouds of Sils Maria. And it features Juliette Binoche as an aging actress who is not ready to go quietly into the night. And Kristen Stewart plays her long-suffering assistant. And Chloe Grace Moritz plays a young up-and-coming actress who is in many ways a little too similar to Binoche, a little too similar for comfort, you might say. And it's a beautifully shot movie. It's very well directed. The acting is top notch. This film does have the strange distinction of being the first film ever for an American actor to win a César Award for acting. And it's Kristen Stewart. Think about that. The French Oscars, Kristen Stewart is the first American to win for acting.
What?
And this is not her best performance. She's
did really good
good
as that guard in the Guantanamo Bay one.
The what?
Well, there was a guard. She played like a guard for Guantanamo Bay or something.
I don't know. She's really good, but I'm not sure that it's a historical performance. But
Twilight.
But I will say, for all my railing against new releases getting the Criterion treatment, this is not the first pressing of the film. This is the second American edition of the film. And they do have a few bonus features, including a 1924 documentary called The Cloud Phenomena of Maloja, which is actually referenced and shown in the film. The title comes from a very strange meteorological phenomenon that has been well documented. And so they included the documentary about the phenomenon. So that's kind of a cool bonus feature. And there's some good, some interviews and stuff. It's a cut above your typical deluxe edition. I still debated it because it doesn't have nearly the raft of goodies that the old ones do. But it's better than some of the ones that we've railed about.
Well, 10 years later they'll do a re-release or something.
They probably will. But it's a great film. I'm very happy to have it. It just baffles me that this is the one that made that history.
So it kind of reminds me of Sunset Boulevard. That's what it sounds like to me.
It might be
because you
some
got
of
sort of
it.
like the aging actress who's hoping for her last shot, last thing. You got the attendant coming in to try and help her out in her last days. She's kind of that delusional.
Well,
I feel like I can keep doing this.
She's not delusional so much as kind of almost desperate, I guess you could say. But you're right. In Sunset Boulevard, she was full on delusional.
Yeah, she was.
I am big. It was the pictures that got small.
That was an excellent performance. Still one of the better ones I've seen.
Yeah.
All right, now I end this with a bang. For those of you who do know me, and for those of you who don't know me, you should still know me well enough to know I had to get this, which is The Dark Tower, Best Buy, limited edition.
It's not very dark.
Steelbook. Look, there's some dark right there. Idris Elba, apparently, which I don't know if that's that might be kind of inappropriate. But still, I really love the novels. I really did. But this is not so much of an adaptation as a continuation, but it kind of failed at theaters. So, does that mean I'm not going to watch it? No. Does that mean I'm going to hate it? Maybe. Does that mean I won't keep it in my collection? No, I'll probably keep it in the collection. So, it's kind of sad with so many great Stephen King adaptations coming out this year, it being the leading one, but I've heard some good stuff about some of the other ones.
Yeah, Mr. Massetti's got a lot of buzz. Is there more?
Yeah, there are more. There's that one about the woman who got handcuffed to her bed, which I hate. But that one also got a Netflix release, and that actually has some decent reviews. And he's got a couple others that are coming out. Like I say, I'm not... Stephen King releases are iffy at best when it comes to how well they are done, but I usually give them more of a chance than other people, and have gotten to like a lot of them. Like, I really enjoyed Dolan's Cadillac. Not many people did. even though it was based off of a short story that they really went to throw out. The Night Flyer, which most people don't know about, which was another short story. One that was infamous was Lawnmower Man, which was nothing like the short story at all. It just took the name. Name based off Stephen King's short story. Because it has a guy who pushed a lawnmower in it. And so did the short story. So therefore, based on the short story by Stephen King.
What was that really, really, really awful horror we watched with the lawnmower?
There's lots of those.
No,
I keep thinking Trucks, because Trucks had the toy truck that killed somebody. But you have some really bad things going on. But again, I mean, I like Best Buy Steelbooks because they actually do... it's basically the big releases. This has got, of course, the 4K, but it's got your Blu-ray and it's got your digital release. One day I may end up getting a 4K because it'll probably be the only option later on in life, which is kind of sad because once you upgrade to 4K, I've heard that Blu-ray, not Blu-ray, I've heard DVD kind of looks shite on there. But I will, eventually, I'm sure. 10 years from now, maybe, when they got like 50K or whatever.
Yeah.
And it makes everybody blind who sees it or something. I don't know.
Right.
But still, I'm curious about this. I do want to see it. So
yeah, I'll have to give that a look.
And it's kind of cool looking. I do like the, and I love Steelbooks. I really do.
Yeah.
It's going to be there. But I mean, of course, a shout out to those who have had all these tragedies that have come up. You had the New York disaster where you've had like a whole bunch of people mowed down by that that scumbag. Then you had another scumbag go in and shoot a bunch of people in a Texas church.
Yeah.
And then you had like a wildfire that basically has been ravaging California.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of that. I mean, lots of games. He's one I follow. Sadly, he lost his house and everything with it. But people have been nice. They've been sending him stuff. There are places that you can donate for a lot of those, and I would recommend you go and look at those. There's still people who are having issues from the hurricanes. I mean, those people over like in Puerto Rico.
Especially in Puerto Rico.
I mean, there's still people suffering from Harvey's incident over in Texas. And then, of course, Florida, you've got some issues there.
Also is one reason, and again, in a couple weeks we'll get to it, start getting to it. I did do a Sentai order, but Sentai is based in Houston, and we've mentioned a couple times they are still working their way through. So
you can donate to them, or at least buy from them.
Yeah.
Buy from them, give them a business. Give them money. They're a decent company. They're actually finally selling off Angel Beats, which is a great series, by the way. One of the better ones. They'll be prepared for a very bad tearjerker ending. I have most people crying. Had me cry a couple of tears at the end. But I'm a softie like that. That just as it is.
Yeah.
But you might want to get your copy though if you're going to do it. I would, if you don't have this series, and you like anime at all, get this. Get it now. Aniplex is going to take it up, and then it's going to be like $100 an episode or something like that. Or no.
Yeah, no one's officially declared that that's what's going on.
That's probably.
But Aniplex was a full production partner on Angel Beats. They were also a full production partner on the Full Metal Alchemist series, which is why Funimation, I believe, dropped that series.
I wonder if that's why Anohana was like that too.
That's probably why. Yes, we think Aniplex is probably trying to get their stuff back. And that's a shame.
A crap load. More than likely, what they're going to do is they're going to have a nice special Blu-ray set for like $120 for the whole, and then like 60 some or 70 some for like the DVD. Which old school prices. I mean, I was in the old day when you bought anime. That was you expected to pay $100 a season. So, if you're from those days, it's not so bad, I guess. But, for these days where you're looking at it and you're saying I can get like a season for $30, that's, no, that's like way out. I like physical media. There's another one, Cinema Sickness. He's also a fairly decent channel, if you follow that. But, again, physical media, we don't want to go away. So, support these people while you can.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, any case, share, subscribe, thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one.